you've come to the right place. You need to not walk away. Your very lives depend on it. It's Action Movie Anatomy. We're here. It's Wednesday. Mission Impossible Fallout, red light, green light.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Action Movie Anatomy.
Oh, yeah. Yes!
That was the greatest intro ever.
Well, it was definitely a step up from last week's intro.
Yeah, last week's intro, Brent had a seizure on air.
Yeah.
literally
like that.
started twitching.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was great.
What's up, everybody? We're here. We're back. It's Wednesday. It's Action Movie Anatomy. It's pretty hot in the valley.
It's killing me.
Yeah, we're cranking the AC, and we have a very special show today. A show we've been waiting to do for literally years. The second Mission Impossible movie that's come around.
Oh, I thought you meant a show with us.
We started.
Yeah,
Not at all.
I was burying the lead. Thank you very much. We have special guests on the show. We got the Real Rejects in the house.
We're honored to be here. We're honored.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Got John and Greg. We've worked with you guys. We've worked with you guys at Schmoes Know before.
Kind of.
Ish.
Yeah, kind of. Greg embarrassed me in our free-for-all match.
I did?
He said, but you're the team action guy, when I missed the two guns question.
I'm never a
So
heel,
this
though.
is actually just going to be Ben and I berating these two assholes for an hour and a half.
Frank the Heat, Marissa. Frank the Heat. So we're here to talk about Mission Impossible Fallout. I am your host, Ben Babe, and that's Andrew Guy. And this is Action Movie Anatomy. We talk about action movies on this show that adhere to 4 basic rules. Rule number 1, the hero always plays by their own rules. It's a Tom Cruise movie. Come on, guys. Of course it fits.
Yeah, he always plays by his own rules.
Rule number 2, the hero and the villain are always the smartest people, beings, things, dinosaurs, what have you in the room. I mean, yeah, I think Sean Harris is pretty smart in this movie.
I feel like you could almost base the rules off of Mission Impossible movies because there's always an explosion.
Yeah.
The villain, PSH is always the smartest.
Yeah, right.
Am I sweating? Michael Nyquist.
I was
number 4.
My brow.
But yeah, definitely. I mean, they are the smartest guys in the room. It's fucking hot today. It's really hot.
I don't know how you guys do the suits all the time.
know.
Man.
It's
This is
just
the
so you
nicest
can't
we
see
ever
us
dressed.
pitting out.
Yeah.
I put this on just because of you guys.
Yeah.
And I'm regretting
you
it
look great.
instantly.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Coming from you, that means a lot.
Rule number 3, the movie is driven by a police, military, political, or mercenary figure. That means you could either be the man or work for the man. So, for instance, you could be an MTA operator in the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, if you wanted to.
If you wanted to.
And rule number 4, the movie contains a minimum of 1 explosion. Once again, it's a Mission Impossible movie.
Oh, there's plenty.
There are always explosions. And guys, as we said, we have John and Greg here. They are from the Real Rejects. You can check out their Twitter and their YouTube channel. And please, God, go and look at their Fallout reaction online. It is absolutely hilarious. They have like a lead up to it with a short little comedic clip, and then they do the trailer and the reaction, and it's awesome. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because these guys do amazing trailer reactions. You guys' trailer reaction was so good that I almost went and watched the movie again last night. But I was too lazy, and I was jealous that I didn't get to watch it with you guys. So now the 4 of us get to watch the trailer together.
Awesome.
Ooh, live reaction.
Oh, this is a good trailer.
Oh, it's so
I
good.
really feel like it lived up to the trailer.
This is one of the best trailers.
It lived up. There's 2 shots in the trailer, though, of action scenes that are not in the movie.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
Yeah.
How many times do you guys think you watched the trailer?
Oh, I have. This is one of the few trailers I literally rewatched on my own time plenty of times.
A Star is Born trailer, anybody?
Yeah.
Really good trailer.
Your fear is coming. And the blood will be on your hands.
How perfect is it? By the way, did you guys confuse him with the henchman from Skyscraper also? He looks just like him.
Yeah. I didn't even recognize him the first time I saw this trailer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't realize I was Solomon Lane.
I'm so happy that he came full circle and is now like the villain. He's
the villain.
Yeah, right.
Which is awesome.
If he had held on to the plutonium,
You know, I also
we wouldn't be having
normally
this
get annoyed by
conversation.
Imagine Dragons being in so many trailers.
Oh, yeah.
But their song is perfect.
Because it doesn't, it doesn't sound like an Imagine Dragons song.
Sounds like a Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that's their genre now, is they just make trailer music.
Yeah, dude, it's perfect for him.
I can't even the speedboat shot, just like
Understand what's going on.
one of the hallmarks of all Mission Impossible.
Yeah, they
movies.
have to have a
Yeah,
speedboat shot.
Money
to
shot.
throw in the
You
trailer.
gotta get Ving Rhames in a pork pie hat.
Simon Pegg is saying that he shouldn't be doing something that he is.
Before a man like that has had enough.
I think this trailer is much better than the second one too.
Yeah.
The second one reveals.
And the third final one, there was like a quick teaser one on Instagram where it showed Cavill's face. That pissed me off. Actually, I knew it happened before I saw the movie. I was very sad.
The fist cock.
Yeah. Dude, you guys got so amped when he does the fist cock. It's so badass.
Like, you didn't even need to throw a punch, just the promise.
I feel like it plays cooler in the trailer though. Just that.
You're like,
That's not in the movie. When he's swinging above the crowd, it's not in the movie.
Watching Cruise interviews, he's like, oh, it's so cool. He like reloads his biceps like that.
Same old Ethan.
Oh man.
I love
Did
that
you guys
this
see
is
this in
in-
IMAX? This is all in IMAX shots. The helicopter too. It's amazing.
I love that shot.
What are you doing?
I saw this at a press screening like 2 weeks ago, and you know, like I'm so much more excited than anyone else there. It was like it's just all critics, so like.
Oh, dude, I'm just gonna do a quick audible. Because there's 3 different chases. There's the motorcycle, the car, and the helicopter.
Oh, yeah.
Which one is the best?
And there's also the on foot chase.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All so good.
I don't know how it's really possible to say that anything's better than the helicopter chase.
Really?
Yeah.
I think
I like the motorcycle. I'm with the motorcycle one. I'm with the motorcycle one.
I go
Dragon
motorcycle chase in Rogue Nation is a better motorcycle chase.
Okay.
Fair.
Yeah. The one where he like leans
Where
his
he's, like,
knee
about
into
to
his
shoot
knee.
his face in the camera the whole time,
yeah.
just like inches from the road and your shoulder. Hello
Yeah,
there.
this is like I feel like watching this movie. Like when my brother's like almost 40, and when I was growing up, I remember him and his friends watching like Van Damme movies and Seagal movies a lot.
Yeah.
And like I feel like they would get those movies for like the martial arts in the same way that like when we watch these movies now, we're like that thing where his knee touches the ground, where Cruz like jumps through a building. It's like it's a straight up stunts movie now.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. It's beautiful.
What 100% is.
Beautiful.
It's like a
feel
martial
like-
arts movie.
I feel like Mission Impossible can subsist forever as long as they find different practical stunts for them to do.
Yeah.
You know, like
I constantly see people compare Tom Cruise to Jackie Chan on the internet now. Of like Jackie Chan did it first, the guy did his own stunts first, but it's a different story in America though.
Yeah, there's a long-winded argument that's happened on the show with a good friend of mine, Alex Kessler, who I knew another podcast with, about who is the greatest action star of all time, and he likes to claim that it's Jackie Chan.
And he uses the argument of time, martial arts, and box office in China, which is a pretty strong argument.
I mean, he might be the second
now
greatest.
especially.
Yeah, exactly. If you're gonna
China's
go
responsible
worldwide
for all movies now.
Yeah, but I mean, this movie made like half its money in China, so like I don't even know if you can make that argument anymore.
That's true.
Cruz the greatest ever.
Oh, yeah.
He's singular. He's a singular movie star. He's transcended the box office and sexuality.
Well, he has this emotional intensity that just no one else has.
And aggressive sincerity.
Yeah, that's the term he uses in the show.
Coin that immediately. He also has just like insane amounts of control over every production he's on too. So like not only his performance, his action or whatever, but the movie is partly authored by Tom Cruise at this point.
I've loved him forever, even when he was crazy jumping on couches.
This show won me over on him.
Yeah.
Really?
I took a dip away from Tom Cruise when everyone did because I thought I was cool to do that. And then AMA won me back over.
Be your own person, guy. Be your own person.
I know.
And he made you pay dearly.
All right, so
all your sins.
so
This is like ASMR. I think.
I'm still getting used to this headphones situation.
So coming up today on the show, guys, we have a bunch of cool stuff coming up. We are going to be answering a bunch of your AMA questions. We're going to be doing Schmodown Corner later in the show, as you guys have come to know and love. We are going to be talking about Overly Siege, Underly Siege, Properly Siege, Henry Cavill, and all of the other awesome things. So coming up first on the show, one thing we are getting to here in a second is thesis statement, but I do want to do a quick shout out to our Patreons, Spencer Hunt, and Jan R. Melgard.
I think you have been doing really well with these pronunciations.
Jan R. Melgard.
I would have said Jan Al Melgard, and then you would have got it right.
Do you just make one of these up every week for me
I
to read
always
now?
make up a name that's not real, just for you to
confusing
have
name?
to say.
Yeah. Okay, that's great.
On behalf of all white people, you're making us look good. You're doing a good job.
Excellent. So that's a big thank you there. We will talk about our Patreon a little later in the show, but right now we're going to get into a thesis statement. This is that thing, your biggest, boldest idea about the film. When you start talking about the movie at a party, this is the thing you say. This is the first this, the only this, the last this. This should never be, this is my favorite Rebecca Ferguson role. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that.
It's bigger than that.
This
Who
is
wants
a
to hop
good
in
movie.
first? We can do it, or if you guys want to.
Yeah, whatever.
I feel like I got the lengthiest one. I
Yeah,
don't
so
know.
let's hop in with yours.
I'll go
Yeah.
with mine. As if you're at a party, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Everyone, turn down the music, please.
I got a statement to make about Fallout really quick.
It's like you've been at parties with Andrew and I.
In a day and age of superhero movies and overblown CGI blockbusters, Mission Impossible Fallout delivers a tense yet fun spy film filled with spectacle that relies on practical effects, stunt work that actors train for many months to do, and an emotional centered performance from Tom Cruise, bringing us one of the best action movies of the modern era.
Yeah, man.
Fair. Yeah,
it's so fair. There's so many things.
3.5 out of 5.
I'll concede.
Well, it's true because like we see it all the time. Skyscraper just came out. It's a great example because
I cannot, like, when I was watching Skyscraper, I kept getting pulled out thinking, I was telling right after the movie, like, I keep thinking if Tom Cruise was doing this movie, it would be so much more realistic.
he would have done the jump from the crane.
he would have figured out how.
Yeah, they would have done it all.
He literally would have lost his leg and then reattached after the movie. He would have gone in for a complicated surgical procedure, like a la like Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder.
Yes,
Cruise
yes.
would have like gone legless.
Tom Cruise becomes the first actor to build the world's tallest skyscraper.
Well, dude, it's so true because like you think about how easy it is to make a cardboard action movie, and then why this movie succeeds and exceeds expectations. The one thing that we've talked about though is this.
Want to see my notes?
Yeah, well, the centered like emotional centered performance. It's kind of the first time we've seen it since 3.
Yes, that was one of my biggest takeaways with this. This is easily the second most personal one since part 3.
Yeah,
because the setup of it is personal. The immediate setup, and part 3 does that, and this one does that as well.
Well, these movies like don't really rely on anything emotional for the most part.
Right.
They've just sort of become these like
Spectacle.
I hate to call them soulless, but in like a lot of ways they don't have like a lot of emotional soul.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, you can easily draw that James Bond comparison in there.
Yeah,
and kind of go with the idea that it's just the mission that's the important part.
Because when I watched this one, my thought was part 3 made me love Ethan Hunt. 4 and 5 makes me really appreciate Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
this one
that's
brought me
fair.
back to loving Ethan Hunt.
Yeah.
And that's why I love this one.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I got to give a quick shout out to Jay Clymer Hammett. He's a big buddy. He's a good friend, good fan, and good friend of ours. He's a big dude. And he has 7 thesis statements that he's typed out in chat. He has had so much communication. He said this movie changed the way that he looks at action movies again for the first time in like 30 years.
Wow.
So this is for you, Jay. And I'm going to hop in with my thesis statement. And that is, so with Bourne and Bond, we're always like, are they going to die? How are they going to make it? Are they going to survive? How are they going to get out of this situation? And I think that's fine. But what I realized, what I love about Mission Impossible movies, I'm more worried that Tom Cruise is going to die making the movie than Ethan Hunt or anyone on his team is going to die in said film.
Yeah.
Is that like I keep saying this. I'm like, I knock on wood after I say it, but I think Tom Cruise is going to die filming a movie one day.
I think that's
Which
how
would
he
be
wants
great.
to die.
I know.
I think he
right?
would be so. He
He's
would
like a
ascend into
Viking
Valhalla.
death. Yes, dude.
He wants to like disappear. He wants to be on a movie set, like wrap the movie, and like just
dissipate.
cease to exist.
Like a poor Obi-Wan.
Every time I see him doing a crazy stunt, I just look at it and go, look how happy he looks.
Yeah.
That's my feeling. He's so happy right
Someone
now.
on the radio was like, I don't think he has any adrenaline left in his body anymore.
Yeah.
Like, he just can't. But yeah, so my thesis is that I get my rocks off by the movie being made and watching the behind the scenes stunts, and if he survives, then I do actually like, I'm not ever worried about anyone in the films anymore. After 3 and Kerry Russell, and I was like, damn, that really just happened? Ever since then, it's just always been like, everyone's gonna live, it's gonna be great, and it's gonna be awesome to watch.
Well, I think something that's really interesting is I was talking to a friend of mine recently who was he's a good friend of like a big 80s 90s action star. I'm not going to name names because it's just private like the story, but it's a big person who was in a ton of movies and was really big in the 80s 90s.
Big buddy.
A big buddy.
We know a lot of big people, though.
And apparently, like the story goes that at one point this guy was sort of like, "Look, I got the biggest I could get. I made the biggest movies. Did the best drugs, made the most money. Right, was with the best women, and now I have nowhere to go but down." And got incredibly depressed. And that's how in this person's career petered off a bit. And I think that's one way to handle it. Whereas with Cruise, the way he seems to have decided to handle it is
Double down.
he got as big as anyone could ever get, and decided that instead of changing his career, he was just going to start like trying to defy death every movie and pushing himself closer and closer to death every movie. And that's how I guess he keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
So you have to decide what works for you.
Totally.
Yeah.
John, what you got?
All right. Mine is maybe not quite as bold, but I will say this.
It's a good movie.
3.5 out of 5.
I appreciated the film.
Well, I personally disagree with the Mad Max Fury Road comparison I've heard 1,000 times in lead up to this movie. I do think, and the printer didn't work, so I'm reading off my phone.
Don't worry about it.
I do think Mission Impossible Fallout is popcorn action of the highest caliber possible. It's film grade, escapism, entertainment, and it more than gives franchises like, James Bond a run for its money. I feel like Mission Impossible has found a way to use their gadgets more subtly and effectively to really make these world domination plots. There are a lot of wacky Bond villains and stuff like that.
Dude.
I feel like Mission Impossible, even the ones where the villains aren't super memorable, and I'm not going to really count part 2 right now, but
part 2.
I feel like they always have a great pitch of their villain, and like this central conflict always feels like really angst-ridden and intense in a way that can be very hit or miss with something like James Bond. So in a way, I feel like this franchise has managed to outdo Bond in a lot of respects, across multiple levels, basically.
I mean, I think it goes without saying that it is the best action franchise ever now. You know?
Yeah, I mean, they've made 4 great movies
and one excellent one.
one mediocre movie that is overrated and one bad movie. I don't know. Are you guys in the same camp as me?
Ben hates
I
Mission
hate Mission
Impossible.
Impossible 1. I hate
Oh, you
that
do?
movie.
I hate 2.
Well, everybody hates 2.
I
love all 6.
Go to JT's house.
I don't hate 1. I think 1's pretty clever. I think it's not emotionally interesting.
Well, you got like smiley Tom Cruise.
It's more
the whole
like
time.
creepy
you
smile
do,
Tom
yeah.
Cruise. It's more like I appreciate this one, but I could do without it.
Well, it's just directed by the worst director of our generation. I'm
Brian De Palma.
not a big Brian De Palma. But,
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
yeah, exactly.
right.
So I guess we're gonna get to
Your thesis.
It's just my last one now.
That's it.
So before I get to it,
Have
I
you
just
done this
do
show
wanna-
before?
Yeah. I do want
You're
to
doing great, man. Welcome.
a quick shout out to Marissa Serafini up in the booth, who
yeah.
also saw this film. Marissa, how you
up?
doing?
Hey, Marissa.
Happy belated birthday.
She up there? She left
Hello,
us.
guys.
Voice of God. Voice of God is back.
So I wanted to give a quick shout out to Marissa, who loved this movie, who just had a birthday, and also beg you to please crank the AC a little bit more. Because
I'm really trying not to focus on my pits right now.
You don't want to see mine.
I will do that.
Thank you
I
so much.
appreciate it.
I'd love to see you sweaty.
Marissa,
shirtless.
what
Oh,
score
God.
out of 10 would you give this film?
I would rate this high. Maybe not a 10, but probably around a 9.
Yeah.
I really did love it. Pacing was great, acting was great, and I think I really enjoyed the storyline because I understood it without any confusion. I feel like a lot of the Mission Impossible movies, there's so much going on. You're trying to figure out who's good, who's bad, who's in cahoots with who. But this one, I completely understood who to follow, and not once did I get confused, and I appreciated that.
I think that's a fair point. I was going to say, one of my thesis statements that I toyed with for a second was that I think the plot making sense is irrelevant in Mission Impossible movies at this
Right.
point, but it is way more satisfying if it does make sense.
Well, yeah, because I mean, like we all needed to be in on the fact that Henry Cavill was the bad guy from the trailer. It made the movie better.
Did you think I was in on the fact that he was the bad guy from the second they first pan to him, they show his face when they're talking about I don't know whatever, and you're just like, he's clearly the bad guy. Why'd you guys show me that? Why'd you even use that shot? That was so unnecessary.
See, yeah, I mean, but then again, that's like what we were talking about. It's like we're not trying to figure out if they're gonna win or how they're gonna. It's just like we want to just see it all unfold.
Yeah, right.
We know. So I don't know.
It's about the journey.
Yeah, there you go. So my thesis statement is Tom Cruise is the most irreplaceable movie star ever to live. There is this franchise can't exist without him. It's not like Bond where you can get a new Bond. It's not like Bourne where the Bourne Legacy's not that good of a movie, but ultimately if they brought Bourne back as a reboot, it's fine.
Jeremy Renner could
Yeah,
replace
Renner
Tom
could have
Cruise.
done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on the same page here.
Where's the Brandt spinoff? That's what I want.
No one will ever be able to replace Tom Cruise in a Mission Impossible
Absolutely,
movie
yeah.
ever. It doesn't. I don't want to see a reboot. And the reason is because he's the most famous movie star of all time, but he does his own stunts. You're
And they're
never going to have
death-defying
another
stunts.
Tom Cruise
Yeah.
ever. It's not even. You won't even have another almost or halfway Tom Cruise.
You won't have another insurance company willing to pay for
Right.
that.
He had to get famous enough and rich enough off producing his own movies that he could just be like, I'm going to do it if I want to do it.
Yeah.
Nobody else will ever be at that level.
Yeah.
It's,
You're
it's
gonna
impossible.
spend more money to train me to do this than get a stunt double to
Yeah.
do this. Yeah.
Did you guys have that quick moment where they're in the plane and him and Cavill are getting ready to jump, and you're like, "You're a bitch. You're not really gonna do it."
Yeah. Another thesis that I considered was this movie movie was literally concepted as, can Tom Cruise beat Superman? And the answer is yes.
Cruise v Superman.
That should have been your
I'm
thesis.
going down on a limb here, but I kind of feel like Tom Cruise could be a passable Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
totally.
yeah.
Well, you've heard all the rumors about him playing Hal Jordan, right? Like, that's a thing. That's like a real thing.
I don't know if I'm on board.
It
Actually,
was a
now that I
thing,
think
wasn't
about it, yeah.
I think it's still
I think it
kicking
could work.
around.
I think it could
Oh,
work.
like the older Hal.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
well, I mean, Tom Cruise can play 30 if he,
He can
wants
play
to.
26 if he
like,
likes to.
I had heard there was a chance they were going to cast Ricky Whittle as Jon Stewart and Tom Cruise as Hal Jordan. And he was going to trade him, and that was like a thing that was going around for a while.
I didn't hear about that,
Yeah.
That'd
actually.
be crazy.
Yeah, which would be cool. So,
I vote for Bruce.
yeah. So let's continue through the show here, guys. Coming up next on the show, we are going to talk fist bump moment. This is that moment. Yeah, we could just do a whole show about this. This is that moment in the movie something happens. You look around, you're like, are you seeing this right now?
Every
Are you
10
seeing
minutes.
This? Yeah. I can't watch the rest of this movie. This is so good. Drew and I usually at this point stop the movie and call each other in the theater. It was like, in the, yeah.
I'm at my grandma's funeral. What do you want? No, I can't open up YouTube right now and go to. No, shut. No, I gotta go. Okay, fine. I'll do it.
And I'll be like, you need to turn the movie on. Your very life depends on it. No, but so this
Speak
movie
like
has
that this whole show.
early on in the show, we had this bit that we talked about, like on one of the first episodes called Cruising for a Week. It was this idea that I had where I wanted to go around with sunglasses on and everything in my life talk to everyone that way. Like pick up your dry cleaning, order your coffee.
Yeah.
I want the best latte you can give me. You know, like, and only soy milk. That's all I can drink. And like, just like do that and like stare people down, like never let it go. And just like have somebody filming you the entire time.
Just
like
to see.
Yeah.
Just to see how people react to Tom Cruise in public.
Aggressive sincerity really is the perfect way to describe it.
Yeah. I pulled that. That's from an article written. I've told the story on the show before. When Valkyrie came out, it's an Esquire article with Tom Cruise, and the writer is like, maybe it's such and such, maybe it's this. What we all know we love about Tom Cruise is his aggressive sincerity, and it was that moment that I was like, I love this
exactly
guy.
what
I was like, this guy's my favorite, and I've been using that phrase ever since. And I think it perfectly describes Tom Cruise.
Absolutely. It's beautiful.
So
who wants to hop in with their fist bump first?
Yeah, I'll jump in first this time.
Go ahead.
And I will say that in the trailer, I assumed my fist pump moment was going to be the elbow of the dude going through the like mirror in the bathroom.
Oh, the bathroom fight is so awesome.
And the whole bathroom fight is so good. There's no way that I have a better fist bump moment than that fight. Like everything from that elbow to the moment when Cruz is like on the ground and he's like looks up at the guy and he's like, and the guy's just like standing there and Cruz is like, I have to get up and fight this guy or just die right now. Yeah. And like that, and then like when he gets shot and they drag him in the blood trail.
Yeah.
And it's like so savage. Like that whole scene. Ilsa Faust shows up. Everything about that scene's amazing.
Love Ilsa Faust.
That might have been my. I couldn't decide if my fist pump moment was the part leading up to the bathroom fight because when you're watching, you're like, oh, the bathroom fight.
Right.
When I saw him walking in the bathroom, I was like, oh my god, this is it.
And what I loved about that moment was it was so tense.
Yeah.
And I haven't felt that in a Mission Impossible movie in a while. Like this lead up is so tense, and I haven't felt that suspense in a long time. So it was either that moment or it was the moment where Ilsa shows up because.
Yeah.
Both her and Michelle Monaghan, I know are in this movie, but when they show up, it was always a surprise when they finally appear in frame. Right. And when Ilsa showed up, I was like, oh shit. I think I said that out loud. I was like, oh shit, it's her. And so it might have been right there. It was like right before or right after. Either way, pretty much the whole bathroom fight. I'm right there with you. Yeah.
So great. What do you got, John?
All right. Well, I guess I'm afraid of sounding a bit like a dweebus because this is a really early moment in the movie.
Hey,
But
You can never.
Can be literally
Yeah, it can be
anything.
any. It can be a look between a father and son. We've done that.
I want to go back to that episode.
It's more.
Yeah, bonding. All right, you have a healthy relationship. The fist bump moment for me, honestly, I was so pulled in just the intro, that moment where they're in the fake hospital room.
Yes.
And you know, you've got that scientist guy who's just selling the shit out of those moments.
Yeah.
And when they finally reveal the ruse and the walls start to fall down, that was my moment where I was like, yeah, Mission Impossible! Can't wait for more of this shit. You know, like, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can say whatever you want, man.
I like that moment a lot, but did you guys, being fans of the franchise, could you guys tell that was going to be a fake out?
Yeah, both
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
Both
Yeah,
of them.
sure.
The Cavill one and that. But I think that's also part of it is because you're like, I know what's going on.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about that was the thing is I
Yeah.
was so pulled in at the time
Yeah.
for whatever reason I wasn't even trying to decode it. I
Well, the
was
whole
just like, oh,
crowd
God,
was like,
you know.
the whole crowd clapped when we saw that, when that
Yeah.
reveal happened. So,
I mean, honestly, for the first that seems like what, maybe 4 minutes or something like that, or 5 minutes.
3 minutes
Yeah,
and 45
yeah,
seconds.
3:45. Well, the reason I say that is because for the first minute, I was like, oh my god. all those bombs just went like that's how this
Yeah,
starts.
right.
Is
Yeah,
those
yeah.
bombs actually like I for sure did not. I was not in on the joke for like the first minute or so, and then I finally realized I was like, oh, but dude, I was like shocked. I was like, they're going dark.
Yeah.
So
Mission
my
Impossible Dark.
Next title.
the next one's the next one's Resolution. I've decided.
Yeah.
And then he's gonna die.
Cruise?
Yeah.
I thought it would end with him and Ilsa like kind of going
Run
off
away.
on their own. Yeah.
Mission Impossible Afterlife.
Tom Cruise in hell.
All he's gonna do is he's gonna replace himself with CG, like CG Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
He'll just voice his own CG for the rest of his
What's
career.
gonna happen is they're just gonna take his brain and put it in a new body.
He's gonna do a stunt where he kills himself.
They're gonna
six
take
times.
his brain. They'll take his brain and put it in Jeremy Renner's body.
Then the Brant franchise can be real.
Renner just donates his body to science.
Oh, it's great.
And then get a Bourne crossover, and we can.
Oh.
Aaron Cross, what's up?
I'd be into that. I fist pumped when the movie started. Honestly, I
Yeah.
like looked over at my buddy Jason. I was like, dude, it's here.
Paramount
finally.
Pictures.
Bad Robot Productions.
But the true Mission Impossible fist pump moment was when they're in the car on the way to the cabin, and then Ilsa's like, wait. So we have to arm the bomb and start the countdown in order to disarm
That's
it.
a good
I was
choice,
like,
yeah.
yes, you do. Yes, you do.
That sounds impossible.
Yeah, I was like, yes. Yeah. So
That was amazing. There's a lot of things about this franchise now that like we've joked so much about it, but like it should take Ving Rhames as much time as it takes Cruise to run across like an entire city to walk from like one side of a room to another. He's like the fact that like he's still in the franchise doing the thing where he's like, I'm still a computer hacker.
Yeah.
You're like he's like, I'm still the best in the business.
now, how do I open this with my fingerprint? Jay Clymer Hammond here says his fist pump was when Cruise running for what seemed like 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty sweet.
He had to do that with a hurt ankle.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
his ankle was like messed up.
So we talked about this just before you walked in the room here, Drew. But I've decided the greatest Cruise running moment ever is the shot, the real low angle shot where the camera pulls away from him in Ghost Protocol.
Oh.
Where he's like running like full tilt, arms like in and out.
It's running
And there's, like,
out of
this-
the building.
It's like the
It's the
explosion
shot
is
that
coming.
greenlit The Mummy with the big cloud behind it.
Yeah, the sandstorm's coming behind him, and he's just
Yeah,
like full
yeah.
run. It's just every movie.
I love the run through the like city in MI3. at
MI3?
the end.
The In one- China?
That was the.
Yeah.
I think that was the defining Tom Cruise run when he that one long take.
Yeah, because it was a really long shot,
Yeah,
a
that
wide
was
shot.
really-
Yeah.
Damn, how long can this guy run for?
doesn't even have that long of legs.
Yeah.
She's only like 5'3".
It's also his run is so unique too.
I love that.
He's high, straight back.
He's
Yeah.
the only guy you can think of where, like, if the movie even flirts with the idea that he could start
run.
running, people are like, really? That's gonna happen now? Oh my god!
This makes me happy.
So good. All right, guys. So
Team
those,
cardio.
those are the fist pump moments so far. We are going to continue through the show and talk a little bit about star profiles. So let's talk about where Cruise is right now in his career versus Henry Cavill, the mustache.
I think he's doing better than Henry Cavill.
I second this.
It's interesting because without the Mission Impossible franchise, Cruise's last 10 years is pretty lackluster.
Pretty
Oh,
barren.
yeah. His
yeah.
movies do so much better overseas than over here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, since the comeback, since the post Oprah comeback, right? Where
It
like
was Ghost Protocol, yeah.
yeah, that was the big one. And then of the movies that have come out since then that have like mattered are like Edge of Tomorrow was a big one.
Yeah.
People like that movie. I love that movie.
Collateral.
But that also
That's
underperformed too.
Before. Oh yeah.
That's when people still loved him before he jumped on couches and stuff.
Yeah. Edge didn't make a lot of money. I mean, it did fine. It made $300 million,
medium,
but
considering.
but that's like one of the good ones. There's the 3 Mission Impossibles, and then pretty much other than that, like your best case is like Jack Reacher 1. People like Jack Reacher 1.
love
pretty
Oblivion.
Kind of. Do. I really like Oblivion.
Do you
a lot.
really?
I really
I've
do.
never seen it. Never seen
I
it.
actually really.
It looks really cool.
And
Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna say I like Night
Night
and
and
Day.
Day. I knew it. Jay
It's
Clymer,
awesome.
big shout to Jay Clymer who's in the chat. He loves Night and Day.
I think he's so funny in that.
Every
movie.
time I
Yeah.
go to Utah, my
Yeah.
sisters always ask me the same too. Have you ever seen Night and Day? I'm
Yeah.
like, we watch it every year. And they're like, oh, what about the holiday? I'm like, yes, we watch that every year too.
You like Cameron Diaz? I get it.
the best moment in most Cruise movies is where he cruises out for a second. So like in Night and Day, it's the moment where like everybody on the plane gets shot and he's like sitting there on the plane and shit comes out of the bathroom. And he's like, here's the thing. you're like, yeah, that's why this movie's good. There's your cruise out moment. But then he also like, what's really interesting is like, Tom Cruise is kind of hardcore. Like I've realized, like if you watch the movies, like
Kind of.
right?
little
like,
bit.
like he's a hair. He's a pretty PG-13 type of actor at this point. But when he fights,
he's the type of guy that would yell at you and not cuss once. You're like, you're really peeving me off. You know? He's like, oh god.
But then you'd watch him in like a fight take, and you'd be like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, in like Jack Reacher, like the flying knee. Everybody always talks about the flying knee. Like what a savage moment that is.
Or like even in Night and Day when they're on the freeway shootout and he's like talking to Cameron Diaz, like, you all right? You okay? Yeah. All right.
Well, dude, and then the behind the scenes stuff with the Mummy. I mean, obviously that movie was pretty atrocious.
Pretty
but,
great.
like,
Pretty awesome.
We're all agreeing.
Crow was talking about training with Tom. He's like, he's just like a different beast. You know, he's like, he wants me to really hit him. You know, like things like that. He's like, it's really intense.
I wish some of that made it into the movie.
Yeah, right. God,
We all agree it's the worst Tom Cruise movie ever made, right?
I think so.
I like him in it.
I do love
I
Far and
personally,
Away.
I personally like him. I have half of him in that movie.
Yeah.
I like him in that movie partly because he's kind of wacky and I like seeing that side of him, but I also blame him for the way that movie turned out. So I'm real split on it.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, The Mummy's not great. American Made is such an underwhelming movie. It's like could have been so much better.
Yeah.
Come on,
God. I was like, wow, what a mediocre film.
We were so excited for it.
So was I. So was I.
And it just didn't deliver.
He's
so,
the worst at accents.
Yeah.
You can't do accents.
It was
at
supposed to be. I mean, I remember
right.
when they first announced it when it was called Mena before they changed the title, and we all were like,
we thought it was gonna be like a dark, like
'cause,
Narcos type.
We love Doug
feel.
Liman, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Liman can make a great movie. Like if he really makes this real, like Cruise is like a drug runner, like that's gonna be great, and it's perfectly watchable. Like I'll bet you the second time through, I'm probably gonna like it more than the first.
Yeah.
But it's just not special. And then Jack Reacher Never Go Back's really bad.
Oh, that's the worst. No,
dude.
no,
I turned it on the other
think
day.
Nothing gets worse than that.
Yeah.
That movie was
So
so boring.
bad,
It's
dude.
so
So
bad.
long.
That was the only one where he's
so long.
That was the one movie I've seen him in the last 10 years
You're
where I'm
just
like,
like,
he doesn't
fuck
want to
no.
be here, does he? That was
Yeah.
the only one. But the Mummy, he seemed like he showed up.
Mummy, dude.
I felt like he
I think it's
kinda
because
showed
it's a
up for
different
the Mummy.
character. I think that's why.
I'll meet you halfway and I'll say I don't think he was taking the Mummy so seriously, but I think he was having some semblance of fun. Whereas, Jack
Right.
Reacher seemed like it was a slog for
a paycheck.
everyone except for Kobe Smulders, who was doing
Not even the
best.
fights are
Hey,
good
good
in
for
that
her,
movie.
man. Get that paycheck, girl.
He really didn't make almost any movies that were like just outright bad until like 2008. Like almost everything from Taps all the way through Lions for Lambs is like pretty much watchable.
Yeah.
And then it's only in the last 10 years that he's made some movies where you're just like, I'm not charmed enough to enjoy this. I mean, some of the early stuff, like we've agreed, like Interview with the Vampire is pretty bad. I don't like that movie at all.
But women love it.
Sure. Legend is pretty unwatchable.
Yeah.
But
Never saw that.
Anyway, so now you get over to Cavill.
Yeah, so Cavill did Batman vs Superman in 2016.
He's done like 5 movies we're all aware of.
Yeah, it is crazy. Like you look at, he's only been in like 12 movies. He did Sandcastle in 2017, which I have no idea what it is, and then he's in Justice League as well in 2017. And this brings us to the next segment of the show, which is interesting because I actually like Cavill. I just think like he's great looking. I like him as Superman. I actually think he does a pretty good job as Superman. But the more that I see him, the less I'm convinced of him being a good actor.
He never quite lives up to whatever. Even in this movie, I felt like I walked away going, I thought he would be a lot cooler.
So if he didn't have Superman, I don't think anybody would have cared about his casting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then The Man from U.N.C.L.E. was like, again, it was like because Superman was in this movie in the middle of it, and then Alicia Vikander was also in there in her moment. So we have this segment, overly sieged, underly sieged, and properly sieged of Henry Cavill. Basically, is he over, under, properly rated? And anyone can hop in first.
I'm pretty sure that Cruise was like, so this guy played Superman. He's like, I'm gonna put him in my movie with a mustache and a porn name,
And then
he's
I'm
gonna
gonna
do
kick
it
his ass.
because he loves me, and I'm gonna kick his ass. And that's basically what happened. Like, August Walker's a great porn name. Has a great
It really
porn
is a great
mustache.
porn now. It is his porn stash.
Right?
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know. I've never watched any.
You've heard that story, right? About the Judd Apatow just told about.
No.
Oh yeah, he and Seth Rogen apparently were like meeting with Tom Cruise about something, and
I
apparently
would love
Seth
to see
Rogen.
the three of them talking.
Yeah, right. Oh, and I mean, you can kind of, because Judd Apatow does a good Seth Rogen, and apparently Seth likes to talk about porn and weed a lot. And when he started talking about porn, Tom Cruise was like mystified. He's like, "Wait a minute, there are people having sex on
Like
the
that
internet."
Quagmire
You know?
episode of Family Guy.
do this.
Yeah,
And they don't jump out of planes?
Are they doing it out of a plane?
So
That's hilarious.
I think my answer is that I think that Henry Cavill is overrated. I think the expectation that he's gonna bring something to a movie that is like interesting or unique is absurd, because like the best thing he's ever done is Man of Steel trailer 2.
and that's because of Kevin Costner.
It's because of that moment when
my son.
It's not even Cavill. It's like
It's things happening around him.
it's little kid Superman and Costner talking. That's the best thing. Or it's Diane Lane. Listen to the sound of my voice.
Man, like you're on an island.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I don't know. I mean, I like Cavill enough. Like I haven't hated him. It's just even in this movie.
He's a very stiff performer.
I
very
feel like
stiff
there was a
performer.
lot of stuff in this. I feel there's no way McCoy was like, don't put in a little smirk when you say that line. You need to be cardboard. I feel like he just is cardboard.
Yeah.
You know, and because I feel the same way. Like when walking out of the movie, when I first saw that he was cast, amped, stoked. Even when I first see him in the movie, I'm stoked.
Well, the fist cock is so it's
such a
so
good.
Well, the trailer also has the sound effect.
So
Single-handedly makes you want to see him kicking ass
in the bathroom.
And then in the bathroom, he gets his ass handed to him.
It doesn't even turn into anything.
But his punches do feel like bricks. Like,
Yeah,
they
do.
Just like
yeah.
What is it with like? Have you ever noticed like American secret agents in movies always have like a boxing fight style to them,
right.
and then like
Always
if
look
they're
like they're an
Asian, they're
Irishman of some
super
kind.
martial arts. They're always like, they might as well just be doing this. Yeah,
that's so funny.
what about you guys? Over under proper? How do you guys feel about Henry?
I think.
I don't think you go.
I think Henry Cavill is squarely rated. Partly because in the things we've all seen him, is like I do agree that I feel like he certainly errs toward wooden. However, I feel like most of the things we've seen him in, sans Mission Impossible, haven't really given him much to work with.
Like they require wooden almost. Like
Yeah.
Superman
Yeah,
has to be
definitely.
wooden.
Yeah, it's like
Even
Zack
though-
Snyder's Superman has little personality, and they cut out a lot of the stuff that lets you see any of that. So it's kind of a non-plus for me. So I feel like Henry Cavill is in a perpetual state of about to prove it to me.
Yeah. He hasn't blown it for you yet,
Yeah.
though.
I mean, everybody
No.
says the worst thing that can happen to your career is getting cast as Jesus or Superman, right? That's what's supposed to kill your career, and it's almost
very
across
similar characters, yes.
almost across the board. Like the people that have been cast as Jesus and Superman, yeah. I mean,
Sisto.
Defoe is like the only guy that's ever had a career after playing.
That's
Jesus.
a very different kind of Jesus.
Weird Jesus. If you play weird Jesus, you're all right. Or Elseworld Superman, you'll be fine.
Greg?
I'm right there with John actually, because I don't ever feel like Henry Cavill's ever even been hyped in my eyes. This is the most hyped I've ever seen anyone for Henry Cavill, and it's because of the sound effects that go with the fist pump moment in the trailer. But the sound effects are not even in the movie, so when he does it, I'm like,
damn it!
So it's cool. The movie.
It's almost
He's
like
just
you
kinda
missed the
shaking his
moment.
shirt.
You're seeing it, you're aware, but
I feel like he's right there because I'm like, I don't know anyone that really loves Henry Cavill, and I don't know anyone that really hates. He's not like quite a Jai Courtney for me. He's right above Jai Courtney.
Jack Reacher.
He's definitely above Jai.
He's good in Jack Reacher with Tom Cruise.
Yes, he is.
He's above the Jai Courtney, Joel Kinnaman,
he
Sam Worthington. Like, they all.
But out of those three, who's your favorite?
Wade Eastwood or Scott.
Joel. Oh, did you throw Joel in there? Or
No, I give Joel
he's
the
above
nod
it.
because he's a little.
Yeah,
above
I think
it.
Edgerton takes the edge over those guys.
I do like his scene.
And he's a good director.
Yeah, he is.
I do like the scene in the movie though when he is talking with Solomon Lane.
Yes.
And that's a scene where you get to see him be a little emotional.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
finally.
oh, you're actually really believable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
That's
also,
true.
I liked him as progressively as the movie. As he got more evil, I liked him more
Because he gets more
it seems like
comfortable in
they-
his skin.
Yeah.
I did like the, why are you making this so fucking difficult?
Yeah.
Why won't you die? Yeah, those were great.
And I'll say I do like his Justice League performance. I've never been the one to be distracted by the mustache, honestly.
I gotta watch it again. I don't care about the mustache. I think I agree with you guys. I think he's properly rated. I think he's clearly in a good enough position to keep getting fantastic roles. Slightly overrated, maybe because he's
Big
always going to
roles.
have these type of roles. But again, he hasn't done anything that's just like I'm over Henry Cavill. So
I give him slightly overrated, but overly sieged. So let's continue through the episode here a little bit, guys. Really quickly, we have a Facebook you guys should check out. Wonderful fans of the show, including Jay Clymer, started this a little while ago, and there's about 1,500 of you guys in it that all talk to each other every week. So that is Facebook Action Movie Data. We also have a fan group for Team Action, which is our personas from the movie trivia Schmoes Know, which kind of coexists with that one. And coming up this week on our Patreon, patreon.com/Team Action, we have some awesome stuff coming up. We just posted a top 5 study tips dedicated to Emma McAllister.
those are really helpful.
They're really helpful study tips. They're taken mostly seriously.
All right, I'm gonna subscribe to your Patreon.
There's some good tips in there.
We've got a miniature AMA coming up this week on arachnophobia that is dedicated to Andrew Hayes, the general in the Army. And
Andrew Hayes is one of our patrons.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Andrew Hayes.
All right,
Andrew
guys, we
Hayes.
gotta do this. So we always salute. So Andrew Hayes, as always, we Salute you.
Salute
Hell yeah,
you.
man.
He has a good
That's
movie. He has a good movie review.
Got a lot of
channel, too.
enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm. Yeah, we
he's
talked
a
with the
great
guy.
Yeah, Andrew Hayes is great. So yeah, coming up, you can check that out. We have that one coming up, and I think we have one last one, which is for Josh Ryan. We did a top 5. What the hell was it that we did? It's something super sweet.
It was
top
face-offs.
5 Jack
Top 5
Ryan.
face-offs
it was
in
top 5
movies.
face-offs, like De Niro, Pacino,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
Walken, Hopper.
Yeah,
and
it was really good.
X
Yeah.
versus Sever.
Yes, one of the greatest.
Alien vs. Predator.
Dude, I haven't done this so long.
And Requiem. And Requiem.
And then honestly, these guys have an excellent Patreon that is very, very successful. Guys, where can they find your Patreon?
On patreon.com.
Goddamn name.
Poke around, you know, scroll through, you'll find us.
But yeah, check that out, guys.
Are you guys both actors?
I'm not an actor now. I'm a host.
Ben's a host, I'm an actor.
Because you guys, I remember the first time we watched your guys' first Schmoes Know match together.
Yeah.
And I hated you guys.
You are so convincing. It's
I thought
not
you guys
even
were
funny.
the biggest assholes in the world.
You're
And I'm
like,
like, there's no way. I didn't even question that this was an act.
Yeah.
Then I met both of you in real life. I'm like, these guys are like two of the nicest people I've ever met.
It is
It's unnerving how good you guys are.
It's a reliable mind blower just to say they're not actually like that. In real life. To people like, what? No way. Yeah, they're
Just
super
funny because the
sweet.
first
It's
time I
weird.
ever saw you guys compete, I was like, man, John killed it in the free for all, and Greg looks like a really nice guy. Fucking dick.
It's amazing what a fluke will do for your image.
Yeah, you had a pretty strong run there in free for all.
Oh, dude, you
You
got
should see me in free
crushed.
for all too.
14
Yeah.
run.
I got 2 questions right and got
I
owned
lasted
by this
3
guy.
I got 3 rounds. But my movie fights is my jam.
Yeah.
I got a clean sweep on my last movie fights.
that's
So
killer.
that's my jam. Yeah.
You know what? This seems like a great time to do it. So we got a new
promote
segment
ourselves.
right here.
Let's do
it's
it.
called Schmoedown Corner, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah.
Oh, she is cute.
All right.
You can
Oh!
you can borrow mine.
So we've got this huge tournament coming up. Are you guys involved in this Anarchy tournament or not? Do you know?
Probably not.
What is that?
Yeah,
We
so,
don't win enough.
So they're like
Take these off now.
they're breaking up the teams and they're splitting up and they're randomly pairing people with other players.
So on Friday, they're going to pick the names, and everybody's going to get announced who their teammate is.
Maybe
Maybe
we
they're
should
just
go
gonna
on
surprise
Friday.
us with
Yeah, right. Just gonna show them a different. Is there anyone that you guys would love to have on your
Dude.
team that you have like watched?
They should pair less clean Ben with you.
Yeah.
And then less clean Andrew.
We are the homeless-looking versions of you two.
They're doing better than us.
Yeah, they're doing better.
They really are doing better than us.
They've got a successful YouTube channel. Yeah, that should be pretty exciting to see how that all goes. I'll be excited to see who I'm paired with. There's also upcoming. We mentioned this last week on the Patreon, but we have these 2 matches coming up pretty soon. I'm playing against John Steven Roca,
And I'm gonna kill Mark
nice.
Riley out behind a shed.
and it's
That's the match I want to see.
Yeah, it's
from
gonna
what
be
I
good.
understand,
Bloody.
if we both win our matches, we have to play each other.
Right.
Which is
Right? Yeah, exactly.
I'm also gonna grow a larger beard and breast pocket when I cock my fist. Have you guys seen that GIF, by the way? That's what happens. Have you seen this? I didn't even notice this until somebody tweeted about this the other day. When he cocks his fists, he first of all he manifests a breast pocket in his shirt. It shows up after he cocks his fist, and his beard like darkens to like a full, like it looks like it's a full beard.
What?
Have you not seen this?
So it's a superpower.
I don't know.
This is how I activate it.
That's what he's really doing. Yeah.
Somebody asked Cavill about it in an interview, and he's like, oh yeah, I cock my fist so hard that I grow a beard and the shirt gets a pocket.
That's hilarious.
You gotta watch it; it'll blow your mind.
I have no idea.
But
Side note, I think it's the interviews with Henry Cavill of why I have faith he could be a great actor, though. Because
he's
he's
like-
very funny.
Yeah,
he's
he
very
is
charming.
funny. Yeah.
charismatic.
I actually have a story
You
about
see what
that
every
we can talk
casting
about.
director says.
Yeah. Right. All right, boys. Before we end Showdown Corner, who are you taking, me or Ben?
Oh, and who would win?
Yeah.
I mean, man, that match against Dan was one of the most shocking things I've ever seen.
Can we like email you this answer when we're not in the room?
You were like Rocky Balboa and Ivan Drago in the same episode.
we literally were so excited about it. We covered Rocky and Creed in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, we did. Like, I'm gonna allude to this as much as we can.
See, the problem right now is I have your recent performance to go off of.
Oh,
so,
and
like,
I have
that's
a sword
fresh in my
cane.
mind.
Be my guest.
but
Call
you have
Drew
the
winner.
consistency. That's the
Yeah,
difference.
that's
What?
the thing.
What are you talking about?
I'm
have
debating
consistently
Bateman.
performed average.
I'm gonna go with Guy because
he's
brown
sitting
people
next
got
to
to
me.
stick together.
Yeah, exactly.
White people should stick together too.
White
All right, that's gonna end
My
the
money's
show
on you, bud.
forever. That's Ant-Man's been canceled after that.
Don't worry.
Homeless man says white people. No, that's the headline.
A lot of people got to stick together.
How the mighty have fallen.
Oh, good God. All right. Hopping into production development, guys, we're going to kind of breeze through this because we're very similar, or very familiar with all the players. Mainly Tom Cruise and J.J. Abrams are the ones that we've covered a lot extensively on the show. But Christopher McQuarrie, we've covered a few times. He got famous from a little movie called Usual Suspects in 1995. And then he went on to start working with Cruise pretty regularly in 2008 with Valkyrie. He directed 2000's The Way of the Gun,
Which I really liked.
Really?
I do.
So I haven't seen it.
I like it.
And I don't really know anything about it,
One
but
of
I
the
do
best
know
openings I've ever seen.
it was pretty negatively reviewed.
Yeah,
It
I believe.
was.
Didn't make any money.
It was. But I like it.
But then after that, he's kind of just teamed up with Cruise ever since Edge of Tomorrow, doing Jack Reacher 1 and 2,
Yeah,
Rogue
yeah.
Nation, Fallout, and he also actually wrote The Mummy, but he did not direct it.
Wasn't he just like an additional writer that brought it last minute?
I'm sure he just
I feel
came in
like-
for some doctoring and.
Yeah, he's probably the guy who comes in and does the things Tom Cruise wants.
Yeah, right. He's like, Corey's here. You can do it.
He's definitely one of those guys that I think his success with Usual Suspects carried him for a long time, and then The Way of the Gun kind of dropped him back. So it's really only in the last few years that he's become like a real big name again. He was kind of out of the game for a minute.
I'm really confident in him now.
Yeah, me
You
too.
know, I feel like he could do almost anything.
He's consistent.
The action in
He's
this
consistent.
movie is so impressive to me that I think I saw a lot of people talking about perhaps he would do Man of Steel
Guardians?
2.
Oh.
I would hate that.
Really?
Yeah, I don't want him to do that.
Just make me another trailer.
I kind of hate the knee jerk reaction of like, this person did something good. They should fix DC.
Right? Exactly. Marvel Universe. I mean, that's like that's like evolving as a director now as a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
You've
Or
also
help
got-
save DC was one of the two.
Yeah.
So you've also got Abrams on this one as a producer, and he's been on producing these films since the third.
Yeah.
Which is interesting too because he's not really involved much anymore
It's
on
so
front
weird that
facing.
that he stayed with it.
But Bad Robot, I guess, is the production company that's behind it. And,
Well, he recommended Brad Bird for part
4,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
You
I
want to
feel
say
like
something about the money?
And yeah,
Yeah,
have you seen the money these
I
Robot
wouldn't
wants
put
to
my
make.
fingers in a jar. Yeah, talking about money. So Paramount produced this movie. It cost $178 million before marketing. It opened July 27th this last week. It made 68 domestic and worldwide an additional 94. And this is like the definition of why Tom Cruise is the greatest star in the world, is because like opening weekend of his biggest movie, it's bigger overseas. And we found a lot recently with some of these big stars, even in the biggest movies, the overseas opening weekend is still lower. And Cruise is just crushing it. I don't know if that's because of China or whatever it is, but they love him. So
Doesn't this movie have some type of thing associated with China with his production company? I heard something like that.
I saw something about that
Especially
too.
in the beginning, I was like, "What is this company that I saw?" And I heard it was some
Yeah.
China-based company.
I'm not sure. I mean, I know Skydance is one of the major partners on this film. Most of the money comes from overseas, so like the marketing is largely pushed overseas on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think when you compare this to say like Infinity War or like a movie like that, it's obviously a little different.
Yeah, of course.
But those movies are all driven by these giant ensemble movie star casts, whereas like this is really just Tom Cruise and some spare parts that he puts in his movie. Like, I mean, like no disrespect to the other people involved, but like,
yeah, and it's like pulling the name from a pretty popular TV show from the 60s. You know, it's not like thousands of comic books have been written about this.
No, Rebecca Ferguson was effectively a nobody before Rogue Nation. Obviously, she was very popular. They brought her back. She's amazing. You've obviously got Benji. He's great, but it's not like people are going to show up and spend $70 million in the U.S. to see Benji open a movie. Ving Rhames is like barely in movies anymore.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he's still part of this franchise, like it's just Cruise. It's just Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible
Especially
sells this movie.
one.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Those 4 and 5 are really team heavy, and then this one's like, no, it's more of a Tom Cruise flick this time around. Yeah.
What's the new girl's name? Kirby.
Oh yeah, Vanessa Kirby. She's great. I liked her a lot.
I loved
awesome.
her.
Yeah.
She was magnetic.
Yeah.
Yep. So critically, this movie has an 8.5, which is the highest out of any Mission Impossible movie. It's number 114 out of the top 250 on IMDb. And Ben and I have had a long, ongoing discussion about this. Ben kind of hates the top 250.
I think that list is
I get
absurd.
why.
Yeah, I totally understand why.
This is not the 114th greatest film ever made.
But do you think it is one of the 250 greatest films ever made?
Well, I
That is
still
the
think that
question.
Mission Impossible 3 is better, but I think think if I was going to have to put one on an all-time list, I have to put this ahead of it because as great as I think Count to 10 is and as emotional as I feel like 3 is, this movie's so much more impressive on every level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It does so much more with the stunts and an actor doing the stunts and the fact that the cameras are good enough to pick up these shots, these wide shots of him, like, you know, so.
Well, on the IMAX edge, too.
Yeah, exactly. What do you guys think? I mean, do you guys think this is the best Mission Impossible film, or do you have a favorite over this?
I'm right there with Ben. Like, I feel part 3 is my personal favorite.
Same.
But I can observe this movie and go, this is probably better for the overall audience.
It's a bigger accomplishment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But 3 is just my personal favorite because I don't think any other Mission Impossible gives you that emotional intensity and suspense that, like, when he's running in part 3 to go save his wife, I'm like, fucking save your wife, you know? I'm right there. And in the Count to 10 sequence of the opening, no opening is as good as that.
Well, also it's the best villain. Like, you have one of the greatest actors ever live as the villain. So
definitely, I think that one's great. But I do love this one though, and I could see why you would rank it as number 1.
Yeah, my favorite's 3 as well. What about you guys?
Mission Impossible 2 is sorely underrated.
It's so good. There's 7 face swaps in it.
There's too many face offs in there.
That scene when he's like rock climbing, like the conga music starts playing, he's like,
I do weirdly have to give that movie credit for helping to correct this. I feel like so much of the series since 2 has been going, okay, you know all that stuff they did in that movie? Let's do the opposite of that. Let's use the masks in a more clever way each time. Let's make a better, a more interesting world domination plot that actually has action throughout and not just at the beginning and end, stuff like that.
Because if that movie was like 10% more positively received, we could have had the worst franchise of all time, right?
It's true.
Yeah, that's a good point, John. That's a very good point.
I mean, like the true answer, I'm kind of with all of you. I'm Mission Impossible 3 is my favorite because it's got the most elements that work on me. Like, it's the most jarring of all of them. Like, there's stuff in that movie that's like straight out of a horror movie.
Like Carrie Russell's eye.
That's a really
Where it just goes gray. You're just like,
that freaks me out. Like, that whole opening is freaky. And when he blows the charge in her head, and even at the end when Tom Cruise has one in his head, like it's just so unsettling.
Oh my
to
gosh!
me.
Yeah, the end of that with the defibrillation. God, that movie's so good.
I was trying to find it, but one of our patrons submitted a top 5 list. It's one of the things we do is fans will submit top 5s, and we'll do like a little 5-minute critique of their top 5 list. One of our fans submitted top 5 Mission Impossible stunts, and 3 of his favorite stunts are all from 2.
Yeah, he's like the bikes flying into each other, and his number 1 stunt is kicking the gun out of the
catching it and catching it.
I tried to do that so many times.
Me too. I broke my toe. I kept kicking a gun, and
I did it with sandals. It doesn't work.
But the point is, like, it's like if there's a Mission Impossible fan that believes the stunts of Mission Impossible 2 are the best stunts, then who are we to say? Because this is an action franchise, so it makes me so happy that it is someone's favorite Mission Impossible.
I love the running and backflip kick he does. Like, there's some sweet. That's young.
We need to bring back the flipping.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
He needs to do more flipping.
In the next movie we'll bring back the flipping, and we'll get Tandy Newton back.
Yeah,
and just have every female protagonist come back in.
I also think though that with Cruise, like, and we've talked about this a lot on the show, but the whole sort of idea of a movie star when they reach the sort of grizzled part in their like 50s and they take on a different characteristic. Yeah. And you watch with some guys, they embrace it and they're really good with it. And there's other guys that just feel like they're sort of still trying to do their younger selves and they're just not as good at like sort of adjusting and becoming it. Yeah. He still does great action, but like older Cruise is a great Cruise.
He's cooler.
Like, it's the same way, like probably my favorite actor of all time right next to Cruise is Paul Newman. And he's another guy that the older he got, he just every decade was just still awesome. 50s, 60s Newman, he was just amazing.
Oh, he was always such a badass old guy.
Oh my God, like
Color Money.
Yeah, Color Money, Road to Perdition, like
Road to Perdition's one of my favorites.
Doc Hudson in Cars,
dude.
he's terrific.
Yeah, he's
I am the Hudson Hornets. Anyway,
so yeah, this movie's got a 97 by all critics, 98 by top, and a 92 by audience. And before we hop into favorite line, I actually think I want to do some of these AMA questions because we have so many questions out there. One of them is, do you think that Henry Cavill is the best villain that we've ever had in
Davian, and it's not even close.
Not even close.
Davian and then Solomon Lane.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I am a huge fan of Solomon Lane now.
I think he's great.
He came full circle with me. I kind of hated him in 5. And then, like, I kind of love him now.
But I do. I mean, I didn't
hate him. I just didn't like. He wasn't.
I thought his performance was better than the character was written in 5.
Yeah.
True that.
The fist cock is still so memorable that I think it's gonna go down as one of the great things that this franchise ever produced was the trailer fistcock moment. It's been referenced by like everyone I know for months, just like that one moment in that one trailer. It's gonna be as memorable as most things that happened in this movie.
It made you go, the mustache was worth it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, so I totally forgot to ask, and I don't know if you guys noticed this. Is Vanessa Kirby Max's daughter from the first one? Okay, okay. I thought so.
Yeah, Vanessa Redgrave's daughter.
I did not pick up on that. I read that online.
Yeah, I heard her say her mom was Max, and I was like,
It's because she says the same line about paradoxes in her speech when he first shows up to the club.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so Richard Eric Jarvie asks here, how do you see this franchise continue when TC is finally too old to be top billing? Would you like it to wrap up or continue with another star?
Wrap up.
Yeah, definitely wrap up, though it won't happen because that's not how
the way
movies
it works.
work.
Yeah.
But maybe like just look, I joked about
Benji
it.
takes
but
over.
if you CG Cruz and just have him do the voice and it's convincing, I'd be fine with it. I would if you give me 10 more Mission
Ben's
Impossibles.
in every theater by himself.
That could be the new template. You just stitch his head onto a stunt performer, and the stunt performer leads the movie.
I don't know. I mean, it could also be like, he doesn't necessarily have to be the guy doing the stunts. Like if Tom Cruise played like the team leader, if he plays like the John Voight role a little bit, I could be okay with that. Like I could be okay with Ethan like leading the team,
and then betraying them.
You would definitely need an actor, though.
Yeah, to lead the franchise.
You need an actor who can
you
still
need
do
like
the
a
stunts and
yeah,
stuff.
you
Be
need
in
like
the
a
field.
Dwayne Johnson.
Maybe like Michael B. Jordan in 10 years becomes the new Ethan.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Let me see that.
Yeah.
Did you miss Jeremy Renner at all from Josh Ryan?
No.
Didn't even notice.
Yeah, dude, I honestly didn't even notice.
I like that character fine, but I feel like there's so much going on in this movie that having another part of the team might have just weighed it down.
I like Jeremy Renner a lot, but I feel like Ghost Protocol really tried making me care about him when I didn't.
Yeah. Who are you really? We all have our secrets, don't we, Ethan?
I don't really like your background's not that intriguing.
Oh, you're just a really good guy.
So Brett Jones here says, what are your favorite locations for a fight scene ever to take place in a movie? I never thought a bathroom would have been my favorite for the most epic brawl ever.
Bathroom fights, I think, are underrated in general because that's a vulnerable place to be, and inevitably
everything's very hard.
It's always porcelain cracking and
Glass
everything
porcelain.
hurts.
Yeah, there's always like somebody might just like walk in.
And I love that in this movie they use that a bunch of times.
Eastern Promises, they do it in the bathroom.
Savage. The spa in the bathroom.
The full frontal fight. That's,
what's the movie with Ben Foster, assassin?
Oh, Mechanic.
The mechanic. The fight in the hotel room is gnarly, and then you can also go to True Romance. Hotel rooms are like, for some reason in movies, hotel rooms are all soundproof, and there's no one else in the hotel. They do anything in there. Yeah, and
if you're doing a short film with no budget, you shoot it in the park. That's the way you do martial arts.
Jay Clammer Hammett, should this be the final installment as it follows up on the previous films and ends neatly? Should Hollywood stay away from this and let it be the end?
I don't feel like it's concluded.
I feel like we've got at least one more.
I think there's got to be one more in there.
Resolution.
Yeah,
resolution.
I mean, can you imagine, guys, if Cruise like did the ultimate move and was like, I'm gonna pull a Logan. I'm gonna
die.
Have my character die at the end of this movie, and I'm gonna do it properly. And
he dies to save the world.
I would
too, right?
Like what if they did some sort of like Children of Men thing where he had to like deliver a baby, and it's like Cruise going across the country, and like that's it's like Mission Impossible, or they like an Aliens thing where maybe he gets like flash frozen and Cruise wakes up like 100 years in the future, and it's like Mission Impossible. They just call it Mission Impossible Cruise.
I like your baby idea because then you could work in a whole thing where it's like we can't cut the umbilical cord until the key's taken out.
Like Mission Impossible Endgame.
He delivered a real baby.
That's a good title. I mean, honestly,
that's probably what it'll be called. Yeah.
I think these are the ones that I want to. Yeah, those are the best ones there. So guys, thank you so much for those questions. You can always submit those online, Action Movie Anatomy fan page. Gentlemen,
so much. Yeah, let's get into our favorite line from the film. This is always a little hard with new movies because unless you like take out your phone like a dick bag in the movie and like write the lines.
Oh no,
down.
I'm just writing for this my Action Movie review.
Popcorn talk later.
Tune in and stream it live.
It's totally cool, bro.
This disturbance will be worth it then.
My favorite line, I think, is actually when Rebecca Ferguson's talking to Ving Rhames, and he's kind of explaining to her like why, if Ethan and his wife were together, the world wouldn't be safe.
Yeah, like the world would actually end.
Yeah, and he's like, Ethan's only ever loved 2 women, and you're like, I don't know. There was just something about that scene in that moment for me where I was like, we've like not really gotten a good Luther scene in a long time.
That made me teary-eyed.
It's a great
That
scene.
made me teary-eyed.
It's funny because you saw it before I did, and you were like, Luther has a really great scene, and I just kind of assumed it was with Cruz or with Benji, just cuz. And the fact that it was with Ilsa is a really
it's with
cool
the women
scene.
in the film.
Yeah, and I love the way that I did the same thing when Michelle. I guess you said it was when Ilsa popped up. When Michelle Monaghan popped up, I was like, holy shit!
I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
I was like, wow, this is good job writing. I was like impressed.
I got a question. When he says 2 women, is he referring to Tandy Newton? I had an argument with my girlfriend about this.
I mean, he's only referring to Tandy Newton.
She makes up 2 chicks.
Ferguson's the other.
Ferguson, it is Ferguson.
For
All right,
sure. Well,
she's watching. You're right. You win.
Although, he does. I feel like he does say he loves that girl, but then she just disappears for no reason. Like she doesn't die. Yeah,
he's like pretty much done everything he possibly can to not acknowledge that movie happened.
I know.
There's almost nothing aside from the rock climbing throwback at the end of this movie. And
Is that an intentional throwback? Or are we just reading into that?
Tom Cruise plus mountain equals MI2.
I think that's
And
like
Metallica's
the
on
only.
top.
I think that's like the only like real reference in this movie to the second film.
Okay.
Is just the rock climbing throwback.
Yeah.
He like never even like there's never like a picture or a line like I knew someone once. I once was with a thief. Like he says no lines like that.
True. Hell, even Max's reference. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
My favorite line is actually a Cavill line. That's the job. It's not that. It's when he's like, which I do love that line. I love when he says that, and when
Is it the disavowed line?
His boss says it.
How many times?
Why can't I think of her last name right now?
Angela
Bassett. Yeah. It's just funny. He's like, I can't believe people actually fall for this shit.
Yeah.
He's talking about the masks. I was like, I know, dude. But I loved it. I just loved it. And then I also was like, it's gonna come back to bite him in the ass.
You're like, you're gonna fall for this bitch.
Yeah. But that was my favorite line, and I'm surprised it was a Cavill line.
Then I got to segue with mine because mine is from Angela Bassett and Henry Cavill. It's the line, IMF is Halloween. A bunch of grown men in rubber masks playing trick or treat.
Yeah.
Because I think that defines the franchise. Yeah. Because that's what it is. It's tricks and treats. And I love how that line came into effect. Because I actually didn't see that face reveal coming when Henry Cavill notices.
The last one.
That's
yeah,
cool.
I didn't see that. I feel like in these movies it's pretty easy to see them coming now, but that one I didn't see coming. And,
Well, they do a good job of covering that to be like, oh, he's watching, and it's gonna be hard for them to do the switcheroo.
Because that's what the movies are, tricks and treats. And I love that. Yeah.
Dude, did anyone else feel like they were like when Bassett and Cavill were introduced? It was like pretty super badass the way that they did the shot and the music and the feel. Like they just felt like so like
Angela Bassett, man.
Dude, she was good.
Person.
She was actually like her delivery. I thought was pretty badass.
You guys like the walking or the not walking the ball
Tom. Yes. Your mission should you choose.
Accept it. Wonderful. That's a good one. We do a lot of impressions on the show, and that one is brilliant.
Solid.
We're gonna have to do something with this.
You can just cut away to me every few minutes, from now on.
Just do
Robot
that.
sidekick.
Did you guys think the Baldwin death was sad? Did it get
Oh, yeah.
I was surprised that was real.
Same.
Yeah.
But they could always bring him back.
People laughed in the theater at one point though when he was dying.
Really?
Yeah, I can't get Jack Donaghy out of my head sometimes when I watch it. It's very like it's suit, powerful guy at the top,
Yeah, I do love Baldwin.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like Actually, should I tell my Baldwin story?
Baldwin actually looked pretty good in this. Yeah, you should tell the Baldwin
I've
story.
told my
We got
Baldwin
time.
story.
He
several
yelled at me on the
times,
phone and went public.
So yeah, I've told this story for our fans, but if you're a new fan, maybe watching or listening, so I met Baldwin once, and this was long before I came to LA, long before I was in hosting or anything like that. This was when I worked for Nordstrom when I was like 19.
Okay.
Where was this?
Seattle.
All right.
And it was right in the 30 Rock days. And he came in and Baldwin at this point in his career then as well, he's gotten pretty big. He he's
We know a
not-
lot of big dudes.
You mean his career is taking off,
the themes
or
of
he is chubby?
He's just a guy that hasn't like gone out of his way to like keep his like Miami Blues shape. He's like he's he's gotten a little bigger. And so he comes in and he's shopping around and he goes to have lunch in the grill. So it's sort of like Nordstrom, a classic downtown Seattle, like the first Nordstrom. So we have like a nice grill.
Okay.
And
Proto
so
Nordstrom.
yeah, and so he comes in and he sits down. He's in there for like an hour. He leaves. And my friend was his waitress. And I was like, wow. I was like, I talked to him. I was going to try to sell him a shirt, but like, what was it like? You talked to him? She was like, oh yeah, it was great. He was great. He sat down and he ordered a fish sandwich with like a bowl of soup. And I was like, oh, wow. And I was like, did he like it? And she was like, oh, yeah. I walked up to him at the end of the meal and he looked at me and he said, that was the best fish sandwich I've ever tasted. Give me another one. And he ordered the meal again, and he ate it a second time. And then he left.
And I'm like, every time he tells the story, I'm like, that's when I'll know I've made it. So I'll be in a restaurant, I'll order something, it'll be so good that I don't care how fat I get, I don't care how much it costs, I'm just gonna eat the same damn thing again.
Yeah. I've always loved that.
That's a great one. I actually had one more AMA question I thought was really great. It's from Jay Clymer Hammett, which is why I had to bring it up. But he says, Fallout has reinvigorated my love of action movies and film in general. What recent movie completely overtook you and made you realize, oh yeah, this is what movies can do for me? And I'll tell you, for me, it was Get Out and A Quiet Place, because I love horror movies. And they just haven't been doing it for me in a long time. I saw the movie like Don't Breathe or something with the blind guy in the house, which was really great. But Get Out actually made me be like, holy shit, horror is not defined by anything. It can be anything. And then A Quiet Place is the same thing. So
well, and there's so many like films that are unintentionally horror films too.
Yeah, exactly. Did you guys have any movie in your recent history that you can think of that kind of did that for you?
Not to ape. I mean, like, I'm not gonna ape your answers, but those definitely did it for me.
Best ones there, Andrew.
I will go back
first.
Even though I denounced the comparison at the top, I will go back to Fury Road. Like, that was the first time in a long time where I was like, whoa, I didn't know anybody would pay for this to happen.
I said on on our episode, it was like our fourth one. I was like, "That's the best action movie that's ever been made." I remember walking out of that movie and I was just like.
It's one of them, and that because it's like it's not only is the action super palpable and crazy and intense, but it's also just like a kind of a deep movie too, which is like a really nice 1-2 punch of a surprise.
Yeah, and the Hardy's in it.
For me, I would say. For me, I would say it's got to be Love, Simon from this year. It was my favorite movie of the year, and like
it was phenomenal.
It was like the best rom-com like coming of age movie I've seen. Like I don't even know how long. I mean, that movie, like, I watched it a second time on an airplane recently and was just like, this movie's so good. This is like the way like a basic script is supposed to feel. You're supposed to be like, is this a guilty pleasure or is this just really good?
Well, I mean, I know that. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the four of us are straight. I'm pretty sure that we are. Not.
Let me check.
But I've never.
Sexuality is a spectrum.
Okay, all right, here we go. Now we're definitely getting canceled. I've really stepped into dangerous water here. But no, honestly, the gay coming of age experience for a teenager in high school was just so incredibly relatable to, I think, anyone, whether you're whatever you relate to on your sexual spectrum. Like, it just blew my mind. You're like sitting there, you're being so careful right now. No, but it's true. I watched that movie and I was like, oh my god, I feel like I know exactly what he went through.
Just that the like repression and alienation and things like that.
And the angst and just.
So even if the circumstances are not similar,
it's just a great movie. I mean, I've talked about it a lot that it was my favorite movie of the year, and so far I haven't seen something that's topped it. But just in terms of like, I think one of the things I said when I walked away from that movie is that's the way movies are supposed to make you feel. You're supposed to walk out of it being like, I just want to talk to someone about this.
Yeah.
Like this was like that. I want to talk about like I watch so many movies. Like I think probably all of us watch about a movie a day or maybe a little less than that, but like on average like 5 movies a week. And
these guys like
no,
that's the dream.
I watch like 2 movies a week. Yeah.
All right,
a couple.
A lot of movies, and the point is like you just inundate yourself with this sheer amount of media that at a certain point sometimes you get so burnt out. You feel like the formula is so played out that when you see one that's like, wow, like that when somebody concepted the way this is supposed to feel, like that's it. That's what it's supposed to feel like. And that's always such a refreshing feeling.
That's interesting. It is just that brought up a sidebar in my mind. Is I feel like that's kind of the bedrock of the critic versus audience argument. Is like you wind up seeing so many more movies that the finer points become so much finer.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's hard to be excited about everything.
I watched a movie. I mean, this is kind of an old movie, but I watched it just the other day at random. The Tom Hardy movie Lock.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's a good
And I don't love that movie, but I was genuinely fascinated by how easy it was to watch that.
Because
film.
he's sitting in a goddamn car for an hour and a half on the phone.
And he's on the phone. And normally when I see a movie like that and that contained location, I'm like, okay, I gotta get my filmmaker eye on and like really pay attention and like, oh, this is great. But watching it, I was like, this was one of the easier ones I've ever watched because the performance is great and the dialogue's so realistic. So I didn't walk away loving it, but it's one of the more recent movies that I appreciated the hell out of by the time I was done watching it.
Go ahead.
I will shout out Hardcore Henry as well.
I never watched
I actually just watched Logan Lucky the other day, and I mean, this.
Is that good?
I was actually pretty surprised at how good it was. Yeah, it was really funny and fun.
I think the other thing that's so interesting is like, again, we all watch these movies, and especially when they're like big hype movies, you go see them in the theater, and sometimes you walk away from them feeling either like it was great or like a little less than you wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have that much time to go back and watch movies a second time. Sometimes I do, but like in general, I try to watch stuff I haven't seen.
Yeah.
And I'm always blown away by movies that I thought were pretty good, that when I watch a second time, I'm like, I missed out. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And we recently covered Interstellar on this show, and I had seen Interstellar only once in theaters, and I liked it a lot, but there was so many problems with it that I was pretty critical of it.
Yeah.
And we watched it on the show again recently. I was like, maybe that's the best Christopher Nolan movie. Like, I was
really?
I don't think it is, but like I fell completely in love with it the second time.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, and I think that's always kind of amazing. Is like your experience coming out of a movie can be so different.
Well, because Interstellar came out after Dark Knight Rises come out. It was the first. I mean, after Dark Knight Rises had come out. Yeah, and like he'd done Inception before that, and you were like, okay, so now that he's stepping away from Batman again, we're gonna get another Inception in space, though.
Yeah,
Blow our minds.
Yeah, exactly. And it still kind of did. Cool. A couple favorite lines out there that fans threw out there were.
I also love the line when he says, "How close do we get?" The usual.
Yeah.
That's my favorite
I actually
line.
thought that was sweet how they did that.
Yeah.
No call in, just cut it at one. Please don't make me go through you. Yes, they would. That's the job. Your oxygen is gone. That was a pretty good one. Taps the tank.
I like you use a scalpel. I prefer a hammer.
Yeah, that's a good line.
Duality.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it. I wonder, did you ever choose not
Yeah.
to?
That was my favorite line from the first
That's a
trailer.
good one.
for sure.
Yeah.
That was Ilsa.
Yeah.
What are we even doing now?
Yeah, I guess
Cuddle puddle. Let's do it.
Cuddle puddle.
So
New
here's
segment.
So there are 3 action movie categories. The 3 categories are totally ridiculous, totally legitimate, and ridiculously legitimate. And movies that are totally legit, that's gonna be movies like Lone
Deepwater
Survivor,
Horizon.
or maybe The Fugitive or Gladiator or something like that. Terminator 2. They hold together really well. They're driven
Simon.
by
Love Simon.
Trailer for A Star Is Born.
they're held together.
Callbacks.
Bradley Cooper, where you at?
Totally ridiculous. That's gonna be movies like Face Off, Con Air,
Demolition Man.
Yeah, they're pretty silly. They're as awesome as they are. You just like laugh a lot.
Yeah.
And, like, they're awesome for what they are. And then there's the middle category, ridiculously legitimate. That's gonna be movies like Point Break, The Rock, Predator. Like they have at least one factor that really drives the movie home, whether it's a great performance or a really compelling plot. But you laugh unintentionally here and there for sure. What category is Mission Impossible?
Carla was a prom queen.
I would definitely say ridiculously legitimate.
The middle category.
Yeah.
Because there's so many ridiculous things, but then there's also the awareness of a lot of this is very real.
Jumping out a window.
I guess that's how I'd feel.
You know the stunts.
That
behind
wasn't
the
even part of the
scenes.
script.
Yeah, there's too much in it. It's like the face mask is totally ridiculous, but then
right.
like he's flying a helicopter, very legit.
So sweet. I gotta completely agree.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could really say it's. I wanted so hard to argue just now, totally legitimate, but
Yeah,
I
you
can't.
can't.
It's definitely ridiculously legitimate. There's no question.
So we all watch a lot of movies. We got a teeny bit more time. What was the moment in the movie where you're like, oh shit? You know what I mean? Mine was the helicopters at the end when they fell again.
Yeah.
I was like, oh god.
That whole like on the ledge bit was just my nerves were shredded.
I hate
every
heights
moment.
too.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I don't like
Every
afraid of
movie.
heights, but that scene definitely got me. I was like, you're so close to the edge. Even when he climbed
Yeah,
up
he's, like,
at the
hanging
end,
off.
he's like halfway off the edge. I was like, come on, man, just roll like 2 more feet.
I feel like that's just fear of heights within reason. Just like at a certain point, it's scary no matter who you are.
My oh shit moment was when I thought Benji was actually gonna. I actually thought Benji was gonna die for a second.
Yeah.
Like I was really so into it.
At which moment?
When he's being hung.
Oh
Yeah. I was like, because I thought he snapped his neck.
yeah.
And I was like, what?
I thought he killed him when he stepped on the rope and it like jerked his head.
Yeah.
down.
I thought
he
that's how he
snapped his
snapped it.
neck.
Yeah.
Same.
So I was like, what just happened? Yeah.
One more moment. It's not a no shit moment like that, but it is one that we didn't get to talk about, and that's when the bad guys are going to execute that cop, and Cruz is looking at him, and he's like,
Oh,
That was collateral. Man.
Yeah. Double tap entry, one in the sternum, one in the forehead. Right. He's like looking, and you're like, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do
Yeah.
it. You're like. Come on, like don't test him. He's Ethan Hunt. And then
hey guys, sidebar.
I feel like Fallout was the oh shit movie for Mission Impossible because
that's
more than
true.
any of the others, like it's really about watching none of these plans really go according to plan and watching everybody kind of improvise to fix it. It's like the messiest mission.
Yeah, I mean, I did have the oh shit moment in the beginning, like we were talking about. I was like, oh my god, all those bombs went off. Like they got me with that. It was that dark.
Or even loot. Like I'll even say like I didn't think they would kill a major character like so early in the movie, but I did feel the impact when they shot Luther. You know, like,
I was.
oh
yeah.
damn.
I just thought it was like so he just like packed it so full, this movie. I mean, we didn't even mention the Halo jump really.
No.
We haven't even really talked a lot about the whole like just like weaving through traffic on a motorcycle where you're watching and you're
loved that. Dude, that chase was so sweet.
and you're watching it and you're just like I know that's you. I can see that that's you. Like you know how to actually handle a motorcycle.
You
like,
are weaving through traffic on a motorcycle in the wrong direction.
Well, everything in Paris was oh shit because you got the motorcycle chase, you get the car chase, and you get the on foot chase, and they're all like back to back to back.
When he
nonstop.
falls from the helicopter.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many moments.
That was scary.
I think I actually audibly responded to that. He falls onto the payload, and you're like, ah, you know.
Oh, yeah, me too. And you even see it in the trailer. You know it's going to happen, but it's still
It's being pulled into the moment.
I'll give you the Halo jump. I'll give you just that one shot where you're looking at. I didn't even quite notice the IMAX ratio change, but just that moment where you're staring out over 25,000 feet of thundercloud.
Did you guys think the Paris music sounded like The Dark Knight Rises?
I didn't notice.
You didn't notice that? Like before they break out Solomon Lane? I think we both had that thought. Like this sounds a lot like The Dark Knight Rises.
You're talking about the dun dun. Dun, 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 dun. That music you're talking about? No.
Well, it's got that pulsing that like
if you guys watch it again right before they break out Solomon Lane, it's like this sounds exactly like The Dark Knight.
Apparently, Lauren Balfe is a Zimmer protege.
Okay, that's
probably that makes
sense.
okay. I actually did. I kind of, even though I hate Solomon Lane, I had a fist pump when he was like, I was like, well, because what I love about these things is they never. You always get small reminders of like that guy used to be one of the most badass super agents in the world, Solomon Lane. Yeah, like at the end, all of a sudden you see him fighting Ilsa and Benji. You're like, oh shit, he knows how to fight like crazy.
He is Nega Cruz.
Yeah, I love those moments.
That was another good oh shit moment when he drives the van into the one carrying lane when it's like the plan has to happen, but I don't know what to do.
The rogue agent. It's like one of the great hallmarks. We like looked up the premise for. This new Gerard Butler movie coming out called I think Hunter Killer.
Hunter Killer.
And
we come back for that.
Oh, yes, please do.
I have a weird love of Gerard Butler.
Jerry B. Jerry B is our
Jerry B, dude.
Bloodmaster.
Great. Yeah, Jerry's he's the best. We were like reading the synopsis and it's like a rogue general like kidnaps such and such. We're like looking at the cast. We're like, okay, Gary Oldman, that's got to be the rogue general.
Yeah.
We're like, there's no way it's anybody else.
Yeah,
Gerard Butler does the best American accents, man. I am a law-abiding citizen.
Oh, come on, babe.
Come on,
the ugly truth.
I'm sorry, babe.
I'm so fucking thirsty.
The best, the absolute best. All right,
I've come
guys.
from Spain. That's Connery.
So we only got one thing left to do here on the show, and that's called
The pitch.
The pitch. Yeah, we just got one thing, and that's going to be next week's film. Do we
It's
know
going to be,
what it is?
it's for our good buddy, Brigadier General John Goetz. He is going to have us cover 13 Assassins. I don't know.
Oh, nice.
We actually haven't seen it.
It's John Getz. He actually corrected me in a message. So, because I did it wrong last week.
All right, you know what? We got to cut the whole show. We're start over. Again. Yeah, John Getz. He is going to have us cover 13 Assassins next week. It is on Netflix. That's one of the reasons we're covering it right now, so you guys can all watch it at home for free and then join us for the I next week.
I've never seen it.
I haven't seen
13 Assassins?
I heard about it. I remember seeing the trailer.
If it's not going to come up on the Schmoedown, I'm not going to watch it.
It has. I think the scores
it's
are
got great
all-
reviews.
Yeah, it does. It's all in the 90s. I think it came out in 2010. Is that what it said? Yeah.
about right.
So we're excited. It's not often that actually it's never we've covered a movie that we both haven't seen.
Ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a first. It's a first. So
You're
excited for that.
still not going to watch it?
Show up.
We read the IMDb and watched the trailer again.
Yeah, exactly. So come back next week, guys. Same time, same place, 2 p.m. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for listening. It's Action Movie Anatomy. Folks, where can they find you?
YouTube. I thought that was my cell phone going off.
You have our entrance music as your ringtone.
The music. Yeah.
All that G-funk shit.
YouTube.com/TheRealRejects. We're on Twitter and Instagram at @TheRealRejects as well. And Dat John Humphrey, the Greg Alba. I speak for John's.
And I'll speak for us saying that I know that Ben and I this is one of our favorite episodes we've done. I can already tell. So much fun. Yeah, we haven't done an over an hour episode in a long time. We're laughing our asses off. You guys were phenomenal.
Thank you for having us.
It was a lot of fun.
This was a blast.
This was
a
great to
blast.
have you guys on the show.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you soon.
Let's make
Bye, everybody.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.